الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تبارك وتعالى وابتلوا اليتامى حتى إذا بلغوا النكاح فإن آنستم منهم رشدا فادفعوا إليهم أموالهم ولا تأكلوها إسرافا وبدارا أن يكبروا ومن كان غنيا فليستعفف ومن كان فقيرا فليأكل بالمعروف فإذا دفعتم إليهم أموالهم فأشهدوا عليهم وكفى بالله حسيبا للرجال نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون وللنساء نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون مما قل منه أو كثر نصيبا مفروضا وإذا حضر القسمة أولو القربى واليتامى والمساكين فارزقوهم منه وقولوا لهم قولا معروفا صدق الله العظيم اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد عدد ما ذكره الذاكرون وصل على سيدنا مولانا محمد عدد ما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد أفضل صلواتك بعدد معلوماتك. And test the orphans until they reach the age of marriage. Then, if you perceive in them sound judgment, release their property to them and do not consume it excessively and quickly, anticipating that they will grow up. And whoever is self-sufficient should refrain, and whoever is poor, let him take according to what is acceptable. Then, when you release their property to them, bring witnesses upon them, and sufficient is Allah as accountant. For men is a share of what the parents and close relatives leave, and for women is a share of what the parents and close relatives leave, be it little or much, an obligatory share. And when relatives and orphans and the needy are present at the time of division, then provide for them something out of the estate and speak to them words of appropriate kindness. This is the literal translation of the few verses that we intend to cover tonight, inshallah. We begin with verse 6 of Surah Nisaa. وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحِ. In previous verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the discussion of the rights of orphans and taking care of orphans and those who take into custody orphans. How should they handle orphans? And now in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses the issue of wealth that is inherited by the orphans. Obviously, orphan, as we described before and as we explained before, is a child whose father has died. A child does not become an orphan by the death of his mother. Obviously, the loss of a child's mother is an irreplaceable loss. But the Sharia does not consider a child an orphan if the mother has passed away. This is not to degrade the value of the mother. Some people may take it in this sense that, okay, if the mother dies, then the Sharia does not consider the child as an orphan. But when the father dies, then the Sharia does consider the child as an orphan. This is not to degrade the value of the mother, but because the father in most cases is also responsible for providing for the family. And when the father is gone, then the source from which the family was sustained, the source through which the family would receive its income, its sustenance, that source is gone. So for that reason, the child becomes an orphan. It also highlights the importance of a father. It's not easy to raise a child without a father. A father has his own distinct role in parenting. Likewise, the mother has her own distinct role in parenting. But the role of father is so important that it cannot be ignored. And when that figure from the life of a child is gone, the child is considered an orphan. So the orphan in many cases will inherit wealth as well. And in many cases, the orphan will inherit large sums of wealth and real estate and property. If the father was a wealthy man, he dies, the child who's left behind will inherit most of that wealth, and the child will be the owner of a large sum of wealth. And if the father was a poor person who did not have anything in his possession, then obviously nothing will be transferred to the child either as a result of that. But in many cases, the child inherits large sums of wealth. And now whoever becomes the guardian of that child, whoever becomes the caretaker of that child, there are many things that the caretaker and the guardian has to be aware of, and many things have to be explained explicitly. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained these things, because these things were important. If these things were left to the human understanding and the human judgment, then there would be many different interpretations and many different understandings and many different rulings. People in all parts of the world will have a different approach to the resolution of that kind of scenario. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of the significance of this issue and because of the complications that are integral part of this issue, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained the issue in detail. This is not a short ayah, the ayah number 6 of Surah Ali Imran, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins by saying, وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى. Now, the time in which the child has been in custody and the child was being looked after and was being taken care of, all that time will come after. It's not addressed in the beginning of this verse, but that is also addressed in the middle part of this verse. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with this, وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى.